Okay, Happy New Year, everybody. It is the 1st of January 2022. We hope that this year brings you prosperity and is a good year for everybody. We've got our office mascots at the Medic to Medic house. The two kittens that we've got, Sparkles and Timmy, who might be making some conversational appearances with their meows every now and again. But we're joined today by Blessings. So Blessings is a student studying at the Malawi College of Health Sciences, and he's studying to be studying the diploma of pharmacy, and he's one of our newest students at Medic to Medic, and he's very kindly agreed to join us and tell us a little bit more about his personal background, so that we can learn a little bit more about some of the challenges that students face. So Blessings, thank you for being with us, and thank you for agreeing to be part of this conversation. Could you tell us a little bit more about your background and your family circumstances?
Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year. As per introduced, I'm Blessings Kaffa, a Malawi College of Science student pursuing a diploma in pharmacy. I was born in a family of six, with me being the firstborn, and both of my parents died. My mom just passed away in 2019, 20 July, and when he was leaving the world, he left us with a small sibling, Orville, who by then was only 20 days old. Currently, he's almost 2 years now. And also, I have a brother who got 18 points in his MSCE examination results. But currently, he's just saying because of lack of uh, tuition fee to pursue the tertiary level. So he's only looking up to me, maybe when I finish, so that they can push him through. I also have some two sisters, whereby they are the other one is supposed to uh, finish secondary school, and the other one is in primary level, standard 7. Yeah, so I am from Lolo area, and that's where I am currently doing my having my holiday. So yeah, we're really struggling. The struggles are real. I have suffered a lot throughout my lifetime. Uh, I have been paying for myself school fees starting from secondary school, and I had some breaks during the rain. I had to wake to have some pieceworks from the Indians in the shops, in the restaurants, so that I push myself through. But all in all, secondary was very bearable because the fees was more less than in the college. But now the hardships are getting high because you know, college level, the tuition fee is so high than in the secondary level. So yeah, by the time when I met up with the executive, when I met up with Tamsin, the medic to medic program, uh, I was on the verge of dropping out school. So they come through and give me a lifting hand, whereby at least now I'm having a relief to say, yeah, the tuition fee is partially done. And also they also jumped in with some allowances whereby they push me through by paying the lanes and the other necessities as well. So yeah, uh, after I got that scholar, yeah, it really pushed me through, and some changes were seen even in the academic performance, whereby soon after I had my deferred exams because by the time I was meeting Tamsin, I didn't had my first semester end of first semester exams because of some balances that were in the accounts with me. So after they paid, I had my deferred exams, And one of the subjects that I wrote, I had a distinction after that, which means that I really had a relief from medic to medic.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing us all of your personal circumstances, blessings. It's really really helpful, I think, for us to know sort of the background and the context of some of the student struggles. Um, so if I can just recap, so you're the oldest member of your family. Both of your parents have passed away, so that means that you have a lot of responsibilities, looking after your siblings and the family. Now, where do your siblings stay when you are at college? Who is looking after them?
Yeah, yeah, as per speculated, I am the oldest, and which means that, yeah, I am truly the guardian of them all. But as I'm saying, school is the only house that I have, so I'm only accommodated at school during the academic calendar. So all of my siblings are in the village uh, with my late mom's sister. And this lady only relies on on a small scale farming, whereby food is not enough. As I'm saying, with the lack of lanes in Malawi currently, uh, they are going through some difficult times. As currently I am even in the village myself, I'm experiencing the same thing. We can go at times without food. Yeah, so yeah, they are really passing through difficult times, but still more they are living. I'm glad that they are living. And uh, all of them are in the village. Even my other brother who also finished school, yeah, he's just staying, doing the farming practices and the likes.
Okay, thank you, blessings. So all of your siblings are staying with your auntie. Um, I wonder if you have any other cousins. Is your aunt also responsible for other children, um, or is it just your siblings that she is looking after? We know that families in Malawi they tend to be a very large extended family, which is quite different to how families might be in Europe, where it just tends to be sort of a nuclear family. Um, and we know that yeah, in the village, life can be very difficult with just relying on subsistence farming, and definitely with the influence of the lack of rains this year, we know that it's going to be a challenge for many families. So you mentioned there that there is a lack of food. How many meals a day do you and your family have? Um, on average, say over the last week, how many meals a day have you had?
Yeah, yeah, it's true. In Malawi, most of the families are extended. So my family as well is very extended. I also got some nephews and cousins as well that are looking up forward for me to help them as well after I finish my education. So yeah, even my auntie, have got kids as well, and she is a widow. She have four children, of whom none has went a lot with school. You know, life in village, most of the kids they go through school dropouts due to several reasons. So yeah, uh, that's some brief of my family extension. And apart from that as well, I also have some other nephews from different aunts uh, who are also in the village, of whom which most of them are illiterate. So yeah, if we talk of a meal, currently as I was in the village, um, throughout the week, almost 2 days, we went out without food, and we never get bothered of having breakfast, because to us it's normal to go without a breakfast. At times, we can have a porridge for the kids, even without some sugar, so that maybe they only get the energy to sustain their stomachs, their empty stomachs. At times, even we miss out the supper. For the 1 week that I was on holiday, Christmas holiday, um, we at times went through that system whereby we can only have lunch, but then going without supper. Yeah, that's part of average meals on a weekly basis.
Okay, thank you for sharing that, Blessing. So what you were saying, that you live in a very large extended family in the village. You're the first in your family to go further with education, which means that when you're done and you're earning a salary, you're going to have quite a few responsibilities for the family in terms of school fees and earning money to help sustain the family, um, which is just fantastic. But I cannot imagine the weight of responsibility that you carry, and I think that's very admirable and definitely something that um, it needs to be encouraged, because the impact that you're going to have on your family is just amazing. To think of all those ripple effects of you having a job and employment. But it was really, I think, quite confronting to hear about the the lack of food in the family. And so you were saying that you only have sort of 1 or 2 meals a day. You often go without breakfast. If you do have breakfast, the children have porridge with a little bit of sugar to try and sustain their energy. And I think what was quite, again, confronting for us as somebody who has not grown up in Malawi and isn't aware of way of life here, is that um, that's not an uncommon thing. Like that, many families are suffering from that as well, through lack of food. And I can't imagine, again, the responsibility of you studying and learning and having that pressure of needing to support the family whilst you're also studying, and having um, just that weight of responsibility, I guess. I think you're doing absolutely fantastic work. Um, Tell us a bit more about why you wanted to do pharmacy and what you see for your future.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I said I have really passed through a lot. The experiences of life that I have is something else, um, and I would have liked if uh, life could have changed so quickly, so that my siblings should not pass through what I have passed through. At least they should have a bearable life. I remember I once had a break at Masongora Secondary School, and I thought my future was doomed in the education system. I left at Masongora. I was selected to go to pursue my secondary education at Masongora Secondary School, but I left out due to the huge balances that my mom couldn't afford to pay for me to continue with my studies at Masongora. I remember I first went to school with only one trouser and a shirt, a school uniform, a torn one that was provided to me by a certain friend who was at the same school. Uh, and I remember I went without even pocket money. So imagine, life was very difficult even by then. Actually, my passion when I was at secondary level, I wanted to study surgery. So here in Malawi, the system is that when you're a boy, when you only have 10 points below after having your MSCE, that's when you can be selected to study MBBS at College of Medicine. So because I was really struggling when I was studying my secondary school, after uh, starting over again, I was working as well throughout. So I was working as a waiter at Gazebo restaurant, whereby the restaurants were open uh, throughout the night till something around early morning, 3 a.m. So time for me to study was very minimal, but I just had to push myself. So I really struggled, and I had a very difficult time for my studies. So I didn't manage to scoop out the 10 points that I was passionate enough to proceed with MBBS. So instead, I wanted something medical. I love science. So I thought of pursuing pharmacy, because pharmacy, after I went through and learned about it, is really something interesting to study about how drugs interact with the body. It's really something interesting to study how drugs heal different diseases. It's really interesting to study about the drug interactions, you know, and even the pharmaceutics of the medicine themselves, how they are produced, uh, um, the do's and the don'ts, the material used, where the materials, or we say the excipients and the all those things are sourced from, the sources, the combination. So it's something interesting. And most of all, pharmacists are considered to be the custodians of the hospital, whereby all medical, or we call them pharmaceutical equipments, are stored by them, and they are always dispensed by them. So they act as a final chain of the medical treatments. So uh, I loved that. That's why my interest also went through that. And my priority, since I have suffered a lot, I like also helping people with the energy that was restored in me for free. So with only the energy, I like serving people. So that's why I thought of, okay, if I can't pursue surgery, what else can I perform? Maybe it's by giving out the medicines to people so that they can get healed from after they receive the medications from me. Yeah. So I really found it interesting in pharmacy.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, Blessings. So I think you said a few other interesting things there that people might not be aware of or might not have heard of before. So when you were at secondary school, you had a few breaks in your education, and that was because as a family you couldn't afford the school fees continuously. So I think that'll be quite new for a few people. So, from my understanding, so primary education in Malawi is free, and that lasts 8 years up until standard 8. So, you go through from standard 1 to standard 8. But secondary school is not free, and you have to pay school fees. And the range of school fees varies depending on the type of school that you go to. So, if you go to a community day secondary school, the fees are more affordable compared to a private boarding school. And that lasts for 4 years, so from Form 1 through to Form 4. And at the end of Form 4, you write your Malawi School certificate exams, so your MSCE, and it's based on that as to what selection process you can go through and what you can apply for university. Um, and again, from my understanding, so just to tell the other listeners that might be listening, so subject points in your MSCE are added together. So your six highest points are added together to give you an overall grade. So you had mentioned previously about your brother and what you've scored in your MSCE results. Um, so it sounds like, yeah, to study surgery is very competitive. So if you have to score 10 points or below, and certainly if you've been through many challenges with breaks in education and paying for school fees and doing pieceworks, that will have influenced the results that you can get as well. So you also mentioned about doing pieceworks, and that will be something that is quite new to a lot of people. What exactly do you mean by pieceworks? What type of jobs do they involve?
Yeah, yeah, well articulated. That's the school system in Malawi. So after I wrote my primary school leaving certificate examinations, I was able to scoop uh, good grades, and I was selected to Masongora Secondary School, which is a boarding one. So, as you have just said, boarding fees uh, is very different with the community day secondary school fees. So, due to that reason, uh, I didn't manage because my mom couldn't afford that. Even apart from that, life at boarding school is very challenging as well. You have to have full support if you are to finish your boarding life secondary level. So I didn't had that support. That's why I left. Like I could hardly go to school without even soap, without sugar, without a lot of basic needs. So it was hard for me to withstand the new environment. So after I left, I almost stayed at home for uh, 2 years without proceeding with my school and without knowing whether uh, I could have finished even secondary school. But I remember I once told my mom that one day and only one day uh, I will make it and I will finish my education because I really knew and I really witnessed a lot of people testifying about the goodness of education. So I thought of leaving from Zomba to Lilongwe to the capital city to look for greener pasture. That was when I was only 16 years old. So I went through a very difficult life as well because in this city that I went, I had no relative either. So I had to rent a house to stay and look for pieceworks. The term piecework is the term that I use because when you say piecework is a work that you only do it to earn for the moment. Like maybe you can, since you are uneducated, well to say illiterate, so they cannot give you permanent jobs. You can be fired in time. Uh, so yeah, it's just a piecework, a very short job that you can be provided with. You are not permanently uh, granted the work. So I had to go in the China shops, Indian shops, even in the houses of the Indians to fetch for job. And lucky enough, uh, I met up this other guy, an Indian, who was my boss at Gazebo restaurant, who gave me a chance to work for him as a waiter. So yeah, that's how I can describe the term piecework. So I was not permanently given the job, but it was just a piecework that in time I could have been fired. Uh, but because I gave it all, uh, uh, the guy really liked me because of how I worked for him. And throughout, we received a peanut salary, a very small amount of money that I could earn. But yeah, uh, because I was doing this for the sake of school, I had to save money. And then, after the 2 years, in 2017, 16, if not 17, I went back to school now to a community day secondary school where fees is very bearable. I went to Camus Barracks Community Day Secondary School to pursue my secondary school again, and that's where I managed to score the 20 points. But I was also still working because the money couldn't just push me through for 2 years to proceed from Form 3 to 4. So after classes, actually, I was going for evening classes from half 1 p.m. to something around 5. And after classes, I had to leave for work till the other day, 3 a.m. Then I got my rest and also preparing for some studies. So my studying time was within the morning hours from half 7 to something around 12. So you can see that was the only time I could have utilized to study.
Wow, what a journey you've had and what dedication you've shown as well. I just can't imagine being a young person in my teenage years going off to the capital city, finding somewhere to live, then trying to find a job, learning all of those things in one go with no family or support network in that area. Um, you've really shown great bravery and great dedication in getting to where you are, and particularly that you managed to earn money from the pieceworks and then use that to go to school. So you've been really pushing yourself, and you've been the person that has really got yourself to where you are now, and that's so commendable and so inspiring, I think, to many people who really don't appreciate all of the challenges that young people have in Malawi to get further education. I think you're a great example to them to show how dedicated many young people are and how talented many young people are as well. So thank you so much for sharing all of your all of your stories, all of your background. It's been very enriching to understand um, what you've been through to get where you are now. And you're still not without challenges even now. So I know Medic to Medic have helped in some way with your tuition fees, but that doesn't mean to say that there aren't ongoing challenges in the family. And you're obviously the one that's bearing a lot of those challenges for your family as well. So I think the future for you is going to be very bright once you've finished at the Malawi College of Health Sciences. Once you've got your diploma and you can go off and you can be working, that's really going to transform your family, which is amazing. Um, I just wondered if you wouldn't mind in the last few minutes of just our conversation, could you share with us a little bit more about what your home is like in the village? So, like how many rooms do you have? Do you have a bathroom inside or outside? Um, do you have mattresses at home? Um, do you have electricity? Do you have water? Those bits of information will be really useful and interesting for people who have never been to Malawi to really understand what life is like in the village and what other hardships that there might be compared to our own home and what we're used to.
Yeah, yeah, challenges are there. Uh, the challenges are still there, though medic to medic jumped in. I appreciate the the lifting hand that medic to medic gave me, and they always provide. But still more, as you can see, I have a very huge gap to cover. Like honestly, the allowance that medic to medic gave me, it always pushed me through to pay the rent. And currently, I was thinking of my allocations ahead of me in or March or April, very shortly, whereby I have to go to a certain district allocation, of which I'm currently it's not known to me. Maybe I might be sent to a very long distance where I will need transport, I will need money for accommodation, and then I will need some maybe basic needs so that I can sustain the life staying there. I need to buy a lot of stuff. So it's like I really need a huge sum of money to cover myself through for transportation and the things, since the college don't provide us with these things. Even the transportation, you provide it for yourself. So yeah, medic to medic gave me a lifting hand, but then it's not just enough to cover out everything. At times I also think of my family, yeah, maybe to share the little that I have with them as well. So yeah, to talk of my uh, description of the habitation, uh, mattress, in the village, to talk of a mattress is like, then you are not worthy living in the village. We use some local produced uh, local produced materials, which we call them nkeka in our local language. So they are produced by humankind. Yeah, that's the ones we use as our beddings. Electricity, not yet. We don't have electricity. Water, yes, we draw water from the wells, whereby uh, we dig the ground to fetch for water. And after digging for maybe a distance, that's when the water is produced from down the soil, and then you just leave it like that. That the water pulls out in the hallway, and then you draw from it. Um, yeah, the house we we do build the house for ourselves with the help of course, those experienced in building houses. So our house is have two rooms, the one that my aunt used and the one that we use as kids, and then a small living room, and then we out to the ground. Yeah, of course we just managed to lift it up. Of course, back then we were using some glass to cover up the 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 uh, the the house. Uh, it's just now that we afford to cover it up with some iron sheets. So yeah, that's the kind of life in the village.
Thank you so much, Blessings, for sharing everything with us. We really, really do appreciate your time. I know it's quite late this evening, and yeah, we know that you've had to borrow a phone, so thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
And thank you so much for your consideration. I always appreciate, and I don't know how to say it out, for medic to medic. Uh, to me, I define medic to medic as an angel that was sent to save me, because by the time I met medic to medic, I only had hours to count on. If I could have proceed with my career, or drop it all again. uh, I was really scared of the past repeating itself, whereby I dropped out of school in secondary, and then uh, by the time that I made medic to medic, I was also about to drop from college level. Um, the only way they can say is thanks to medic to medic. Medic to medic is really a savior, saving souls. Thank you. And also on a way to those who donate to medic, um, may you all be blessed so that the little that you pour into medic to medic really helps a lot of struggling souls, a lot of stressed spirits, a lot of oppressed mind, and those that help really uh, really saves a lot of people. One of them is me. Thank you.
Now, what I find inspiring about many of the medic to medic students are just how many challenges they have been through to get to where they are, and at the point that medic to medic meets them, they're usually on the verge of dropping out of their training at college. And for many of them, that means if they've dropped out at this final hurdle, they are not going to be going back. And you just think they've been through so much to get to where they are. They've just got that final push to finish their college degrees, and then they have access to professional employment, a regular salary, which for many families is just going to completely transform their futures. Their siblings are more likely to more likely to attend secondary school, and then more likely to finish because there is somebody to pay their school fees. It's just the ripple effects of that are incredible. So for the individual and the family, there are huge impacts, but also in a country where they drastically need more human resources for health, the dropout rate at college for health workers, if that is addressed, there will be a dramatic increase in the number of health workers finishing, and the number of health workers that can then work in government facilities, in NGOs, in private practices throughout Malawi will be transformational. And that's really where the ripple effects from providing scholarships to health workers come in as well. So we really hope you enjoyed listening to Blessing's story. He's definitely got I was going to say he's got a very unique story, but unfortunately this is a story that is very common to many students throughout Malawi. This is not uncommon to hear of students being from orphan or single parent families. They're the first in their family to go to college. They have many responsibilities looking after siblings and cousins and older family members. They generally all come from rural areas where subsistence farming is the main source of income. And that's never going to be enough to support a child with tuition fees. So we thank you so much for listening to this podcast. We hope to continue doing this on a regular basis, and we'll be hopefully talking to other students, but also talking to some of the dean of students, some of our graduates, finding out a little bit more what everyone is up to. So we hope that you can join us in the future. They'll normally be between 30 and 40 minutes long, most likely, maybe even shorter, depending on how succinct we are with our conversation. But if it is going on well, then we think the breadth of what we're learning is better to keep going rather than cutting it short. So we hope that you've enjoyed it. We wish you a very happy new year. And if you'd like to find out more about us, please drop us an email at info@medictomedic.org.uk, or you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and we've obviously got a website as well. So just check us out. We're at medictomedic.org.uk. C'est como.